Let's see. Hello, everybody. Hello and welcome. I am attempting to go live on Instagram. I hope it cooperates. Oh, I think it's gonna. It's always a little bit iffy, right? All right. I think we're live on Instagram. Yay. I think. Hang on one second, guys. Okay, no, I had to push that button twice. Now we are live everywhere. All right, welcome and happy Thursday, everybody. Here we are. It's already Thursday again. How did that happen, right? I can say for me, I had a long weekend. I actually went to Las Vegas. I took a long weekend with girlfriends. So I took Monday off. We had such a great time. Okay, so this might be before your time, Kylie. Just saying. Okay, I know this will really date myself, but we saw Donny Osmond.
I
know. You even remember Donny Osmond? Oh my God. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. So you don't remember the Donny and Marie show? All right. No. Anyway, that's all right. All right.
Let me pretend. No way. That's amazing.
But we did also see the Eagles. You know the Eagles.
Okay, those are my
Joe, and you know Joe Walsh.
Oh
right?
my God. So you had a wonderful time is what you're saying.
Yes, we had a blast. So that's why I'm a little mixed up on my days today, though. It's like, wait, what day is it? You know how that is? When you take a day off and you're traveling, it's like, yeah. So anyway, hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm so happy to have everyone here today. And we have a very special treat in store. So excited to talk about gut health with the one and only Kylie. All right. And I will just say the full name, Kylie Fagnano. And a little bit formal. But anyway, Kylie has been working with gut health for, oh my gosh, forever, right? Like that's your jam, right?
Yeah.
And I'm so excited to hear about all the updates. I do see that you've rebranded.
Yeah.
So I want to hear all about that in addition to your incredible knowledge around gut health. So today we are going to zero in, and the title for today is GI Relief You Can Do at Home. Exactly. So I think this is really going to hit home for a lot of people. So many people nowadays I just hear it all the time. The struggle is real, right? In terms of GI stuff. So anyway, let's go ahead and dig in. So first and foremost, Kylie, if you would just take, a minute and just kind of give us your backstory. I know some of the story, but it's probably a little more interesting hearing it directly from you. So how did you end up here specializing in GI?
I love it. So, like a lot of people who end up doing something that they are passionate about, it was because I needed it for myself. Started out very selfish. So I was in school for nutrition, and I always knew I wanted to open up a practice. And then I got really, really sick. Like ended up being for something like a decade sick with some unknown. And listen, everybody out there has their own little versions of this thing. I know it's not unique, but when you're in it, it's just like you feel crazy. You feel crazy. And that was how I felt. It was awful. And I really, really started to get bad right as I was finishing grad school, and I was thinking about opening a practice. And then when I did and realized, I've got Hashimoto's. That's what it is. That's why I feel so crazy.
Did you find out, or did someone tell you?
No,
I don't think I knew that part of the story.
I ran my own labs and took them into my doctor and said, isn't this how you would define Hashimoto's? And her literal response was, yep. Here's the script.
Okay. Well, what about the last, decade I've been struggling along here? Oh, man.
It was really, really sad. And so, I was not, and I know a lot of people feel this way. It wasn't acceptable for me, the way that I wanted to be taken care of, to just be handed a script. Like, this doctor didn't know me from anything, and so I started to really dive into, like, what are the other pieces and how does food connect, and realize how much the gut really plays a role in everything. Everything.
Everything.
So autoimmunity, it's one of those really big things. So I started to go back and I did my credentialing in integrative and functional nutrition, which
Yes.
is part of how we got connected actually.
Yeah.
And then I just sort of built my practice out of what worked really well for me and built off of that. So, I do a lot of GI autoimmune stuff. I now have combined my practice with my husband's personal training gym.
Yes. Tell me
Yeah.
about that. That's
Yeah.
new and exciting. So did you do a complete overhaul on your brand?
Yeah, totally. So
Okay.
Strata Nutrition, BC Strength Training became DC. So we live in Washington, DC. DC Strength and Nutrition. And I do all of the nutrition work, gut health, muscle, all of that stuff. He and our trainers do all of the personal training. It's just this nice little ecosystem in our community. And it, it, it feels like you're really a part of something that's making a difference. It's just nice. It's really
So
great.
good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. I'm a huge fan of all your work. And I mean, personally, my favorite has always been strength training. Like I'm not that person that you're going to see running, 80
No way.
miles a week. Like I've never been that person.
No way.
I used to jog a little bit, like to get some cardio. I so love strength that over the last couple years, I had to say, okay, I do need to mix it up a little bit here, right? Just to get the heart beating
Totally.
a
Yeah.
little resting periodically. So, but that's great. So you're probably super up on all the latest research on, preventing sarcopenia and like all of that. That's a whole conversation we can
Totally.
have too, because that's,
Yeah.
where we're at,
That's
right?
right. Yeah, and you've got the Ozempics and the GLP-1s, and everything has its place for every individual. They really do, but it's not without really nuanced considerations. So, and that's the same for gut health. So,
Yeah. Okay. So you struggled along for 10 years.
totally.
Were really, really sick. No one had the answers. And lo and behold, you self-diagnosed, which is crazy. I did not know that part of the story, that it was you that basically diagnosed yourself. So
Totally.
go figure,
Yeah.
and just imagine all these people that don't have that knowledge that are, basically think they're crazy. They just don't get the answers. I really, really feel for them. And frankly, I think probably most of us, and I'd love to hear from the comments, I would love to hear from our audience. How did you move into this space? Nutrition, functional medicine, naturopathic medicine, coaching, like what was it? If you're willing to share, right? I think it would be really interesting to find out if you had like a personal, situation or maybe something in your family that happened that really motivated you to move into the space.
That's a really big one that we hear actually with muscle and aging. It's like, oh, I'm watching my parents go through all of this really terrible stuff, and it seems like we could have prevented it if they had more muscle mass or more strength, like just I'm saying core strength. I don't mean like your abs.
Yeah.
I mean foundational strength.
Right.
And I think it's starting to become a much bigger part of the conversation that people are thinking about to get ahead of it because they're witnessing what it feels like to have to take care of somebody otherwise. So it is this interesting period of time.
Yeah, and I'll just comment and say I went to IHS, the Integrative Health Symposium, in February in New York, and I think I remember 2 separate talks on that topic.
Totally.
I know Kathy Swift did one on preventing muscle loss, and I think I didn't hear her speak, but I think JJ Virgin was there, and she did a talk.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, on that topic. So it definitely is hitting the radar. All right, so let's talk about gut health. So what would you say, just in general, like what are some of those gut issues that people maybe what am I trying to say? Like they normalize in their heads, right? Like they just kind of get used to it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
what are some red flags we should be on the lookout for?
totally. Okay. So first of all, you should not feel unwell when you consume food. And
Mm,
feeling unwell, right, that could mean many things. You
okay.
shouldn't feel super tired right away. You shouldn't get a migraine or a headache. You shouldn't feel like you need to take a nap. You definitely shouldn't be in pain, where you shouldn't
Mhm.
feel heartburn up here higher in the GI system, and you shouldn't feel super bloated. You shouldn't get that like bubbly tummy. You shouldn't have a ton of gas. Like these are very common,
Mhm.
but not appropriate, right? Now,
Right.
I'm going to preface this by saying sometimes we're all human, okay?
Yep.
Sometimes we're going to have to deal with some discomfort. Something is going to happen and it kind of comes and it goes. That's not what we're
Mhm.
talking about. That's
Right.
going to happen. We're going to eat something that's maybe a touch off, or we're
Mhm.
super stressed, or we're on the verge of getting sick, or we're just really, the
Exactly.
kids are up and we didn't get, whatever it is. That's not what we're talking about.
Okay.
That can happen, and there should be some room for life to happen. The thing we're mentioning is like this happens every day. I'm
Mm.
actually, if I really break it down, totally incapable of using my GI tract without some sort of discomfort. That's not it. You have to eat. So if you can't
Yeah.
do that basic thing without some negative consequence, something is going on. Something's going on. And
Okay.
most of the time we're talking about really getting to the root cause of it. And that is
Mhm.
absolutely, at the end of the day, I think going to give you, it's not just about a band aid. You want to get your head above water and stay there, right?
Mhm.
The root cause thing, like that matters. And sometimes you're in a phase of life where you're not going to be able to commit to the testing. You're not going to be able to commit to the big diet changes. You
Okay.
just don't have the energy. You don't have the mental space, and you just need to create a little bit of wiggle room to be able to breathe. And then you can consider the deeper work. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Mhm.
You know that there is deeper work to be done. There's nothing, in my opinion,
Yeah.
as long as you know that it's a band aid, it's okay. If you break your arm, they put it in a cast. We know that's not the end game, right?
Right, right. True. True story. So, okay, so basically then, in a nutshell, if you're really struggling after eating consistently, that is a huge red flag.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge red
Okay.
flag. If you're not having a bowel movement every day, if
Mhm.
there's a lot of urgency, if you see undigested food or
Yeah.
like an oily film in
Mhm.
stool, these are problems. If you see blood, obviously not okay.
Not okay.
Blood in your stool. Yeah, these are, if you have brain fog, or
Mm.
that's actually a gut symptom. That's a gut health symptom.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow. Which is so common. I hear that all the
huge,
time.
huge, huge.
So, and so many people, they don't connect it to gut health, obviously.
Right.
They think it's something else.
Yeah.
So, do you have any things that you can share in terms of what people can try at home?
Yeah.
I guess at this point in our conversation, we're talking more short-term band-aids just to kind of get through it, right?
Absolutely, because I think this part of the conversation, we skip over it a lot because
Mhm.
our field, like I said, we don't want the band-aids. We want you to have a long-term answer. That's still true. Okay, so I think that's important to say. Both of these things need to be able to be true at once.
Mhm.
I'm not suggesting forget the test. I think ultimately that's going to give you the data that you need to take informed action.
Mhm.
And there's still like some really common things that even when I do testing for my patients that I often see they need and can think about and use to help. So that's what I'd love. I think we'll go over some of that stuff today. So
Okay,
in no particular order, okay, I have like a little list here.
great.
One of the things that you can try, and again, this one is for sure a band-aid, okay? Sometimes it's all you need. But if you're feeling constipated, now constipated, sometimes you know when you're constipated. And sometimes you think it's normal, and somebody has to tell you, wait, if you're not having a bowel movement every day, that's constipated, right?
Yes.
And there's
Yeah.
a little bit of a spectrum maybe, but if you are having real discomfort, kind of that distended belly, you're
Mm.
feeling bloated, it's quite tender, you can use something, it's called magnesium citrate. You
Okay.
could get it anywhere. You could get a really high version and order online and blah, 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 or you just buy one, okay? You could get it in a pill, you could get it as a powder, and that can be really, really helpful for alleviating constipation. It might be that you are in one of those phases where this isn't actually a long-term problem. It's just a fluke. You were traveling. That'll be a big one
Mhm.
for travelers. Okay. You're traveling, or who even knows. Okay. And you just need a little bit of help this one time.
Mhm.
Perfect. Let that be the answer. If it continues and you find that I actually can't get through without using this magnesium
Mhm.
citrate, you need to go deeper. Okay.
Okay.
Use the magnesium citrate and get the testing, get something else done. Okay.
Okay.
I also think for constipation, you guys are gonna maybe you won't. Maybe this group wouldn't think this is too laughable, but have you ever used a squatty potty?
No, I personally have not, but
Okay.
I've seen them. D
They're these great little things.
Yeah.
They basically just like elevate the knees so you're simulating a squat, which
Okay.
puts the colon in a more optimal position for eliminating.
Dang.
This is a really good option, you guys, for people who, you know how sometimes you're like, I'm not constipated, but I don't feel like I'm having a complete elimination.
Yeah.
Sometimes this will do the trick for you. And I'll tell you, this is so ridiculous. Sometimes we don't have a squatty potty either. And sometimes I'm like, I think I just want to try that. I always just grab the trash can that we have in the bathroom.
Okay. Yeah.
Or if I'm at like a guest house or who even knows, I'll grab the trash can and depending on your mobility, you could just put your feet
That's
up
a
on
good
top.
idea.
It does the same thing. It depends on the height of everything, but it's an easy thing, right? You don't have to go out and spend a bunch of money. Just give it a
Oh,
shot and
that's so
see
smart.
if that helps. I find that does the trick sometimes. And then
I love it.
some of the things that people like to skip over because they're not fancy and they're not sexy and they're not fun, and therefore they just forget that they matter.
Yeah.
But fiber and water,
Oh, fiber and water, like the basics.
basics. Don't even bother with everything else until you at least try to dial that stuff in, right?
Okay.
Fiber is kind of a Goldilocks thing, right? If you have too much, it could be constipating. If you have too little, it can be constipating. So it goes a little bit of both ways, and you can
Yeah.
try some things out. With the fiber thing, you guys, I don't know. I hear patients say all the time, I get a ton of fiber. I have a salad every day for lunch. I'm like, well, what's in that salad? Because your lettuce doesn't have anything in it. Even if you've got 2 cups of kale in there, you're maybe getting 2 grams of fiber, right? This is not, it can
Right.
be a little bit deceiving. That's all I'm saying. Is I always encourage people, take a week or two and really actually look. What am I really getting, or am I being taken advantage of and not knowing it, right? Because
Okay.
if you are, that's the biggest thing. And even if
Okay.
you don't have any GI symptoms, fiber,
You still need it for
you
your
still need it.
diversity and your gut health. I just have to mention on this topic, I I downloaded your tool. Didn't you have like a fiber challenge?
I have like a little fiber cheat sheet.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Totally.
That was so helpful.
I use it all
Even
the
me, I'm
time.
an RD, but you kind of forget, right? Like,
Sometimes it's just nice. Like, where am I getting the biggest bang for my buck? I
yeah.
don't feel like messing around piecing 2 and 3 grams of fiber together. Where's the big bang for my buck? Like
Okay.
the,
So
the
how do
bean.
you do it? How do you get it? Can you give me kind of the lowdown on?
I'll tell you exactly what I just had for lunch. Actually, that'll be a perfect example. I did a half a cup of beans. I think they were literally white northern beans,
Okay.
and I think a half a cup of roasted carrots. 10 grams of fiber right
Okay.
there. So
Okay.
simple. That's one meal. That's it. So for me, I like using beans. I think I got good carbohydrate source, good fiber. There's a whole bunch of different kinds that you can use, so you're getting some diverse. I can't eat the same thing every week. Some of you can. I'm not that girl. I need a little bit of mixing it
Little
up.
variety. Okay.
So for me, that's a really big thing. I love using cacao nibs in yogurt, and not so much
Say
cottage
that
cheese.
again.
Cacao nibs.
Oh.
Like 3 tablespoons of that is 9 grams of fiber.
Oh, okay. I'd love
Crazy.
to hear from our audience. What are some little tips and tricks that you might share with your patients and clients too? It'd be so interesting to hear.
Yeah,
Okay, so
let me
you
hear
you
them. I
eat
wanna
a lot
know
of
too.
beans. What's that?
I said, "I wanna know too. Tell me."
Yeah.
I'm up for some new options.
It sounds like beans are a really integral part of your diet then to help you to achieve those fiber goals. How much fiber do you think you get in a day? What are you aiming for?
These are
Being the
2
overachiever that you are, I'm guessing it's more than 25.
these are 2 different answers, Leslie, okay? I'm
Okay.
gonna be honest. So the aim is 20 no less than 25, 25
Okay.
to 30, and I'd say most days it's around there, 20 to 25.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna be honest, you guys, like, some days it doesn't happen. It
Yeah.
just doesn't,
Yeah.
and most days it does, and so I just don't, but I don't have any symptoms, so it's not like I've created
Yeah.
a little bit of wiggle room.
Okay.
And so that's something that you can work towards too.
Mhm.
Maybe there's a period of time where things have to be dialed in or
Yeah.
else, right?
True.
And then you earn the ability to have some buffer and you can kind
Okay.
of like, okay, I don't have to be perfect because most of the time it's exactly what I need, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Love that. So, on that topic, what is your thought on supplementing? I mean, do you feel like,
Yeah.
if someone just really struggles to get that 20 to 25 every day, would you recommend supplementing? And if so, with what?
I absolutely. I think so. Why not? It's a tool. And if you have an awareness where you're just like, I either know it's not gonna happen because you can't actually tolerate it. That's a
Okay.
really big issue that people have, like,
Oh,
sometimes thinking
interesting.
like, "Well, I would if I could, but I can't tolerate beans. I can't eat things
Okay.
that are being fried." This is a sign, by the way, that something else is going on. You gotta jump to the deeper stuff.
Okay.
And in the meantime, you can use a tool. You can use a Band-Aid. You can use something to help yourself. And I think it's worth saying too that sometimes you're just in a period of time where you're like, I'm making a choice not to prioritize this.
Okay.
I've got too much going on. I don't have the bandwidth to do it. And I know that. So rather than just saying, I'm not going to do anything, I'm going to say, I'm going to use the supplement right now.
Got it.
I think it's okay.
Oh, yeah.
Having a level of awareness and just getting the help where you need can be all right. So
I
yeah,
love that.
I like sun fiber. I like sun fiber.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay.
I think it's a nice option for
That's a good
people.
one.
I've never had anybody constipated, diarrhea, SIBO. They always tolerate it really,
Okay.
really well. So it's a pretty safe spot. But if you're going to supplement, I would do it slow, right?
Okay.
Quarter of a scoop at a time, and just kind of
Oh.
like.
Oh, not the full scoop that they recommend. Okay.
I mean, you could, but
Good, but it could
I
be
would say
trouble.
I'd say you're gonna know. You're not gonna be happy about it.
Some kind of airplane, like, those kind, right? That could be trouble. Just
It'll be
saying.
bad. You're not gonna be happy about it, yeah.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. The people next to you, maybe not either. Just saying. So like out of all the stuff we as practitioners could count for ourselves, macros, all the things, is this the thing you count?
Protein and fiber.
Okay,
Those
protein and
2 things.
fiber.
Yep, yeah,
Okay.
I do. I have sort of I don't track, I do make sure that I'm getting the protein that I need. That
Okay.
to me is super important.
Okay.
And then, higher fiber foods anyway, often tend to come along with carbohydrates.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's just a thing for us to know and be aware of. And so
Mhm.
I like to try to say, okay, let me pick my fiber sources first
Okay.
and allow that to sort of fill in my carbohydrate needs, and then do a little bit of extra if I need it, or just have that be enough. Like sometimes 20 grams of carbohydrate in these beans is enough. It depends on the day, right?
Okay.
That's how I like to sort of organize it so that I'm not making a million decisions every day.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know
that's
where
it.
I'm gonna get my
Decision fatigue. So, and I am curious now that so many people are, using CGMs.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you've used one on yourself, but do you find that, the carbohydrate from beans is spiking your blood sugar or no?
Such a good question. I've never used
I
one.
don't know if I've tested that on myself. I
I've
should.
not I've not either, but I wonder if anybody here has because I bet you get a mixed bag of it depending on sort of the
Your metabolism.
baseline metabolic health. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would think so.
Well, I can say, unfortunately, I'm pretty sensitive, sadly, and, like, even eating blackberries will I'll spike.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, like blackberries and full fat Greek yogurt. Yeah. So, yeah, I spike, I come back down, but I do get a spike, sadly.
See, that
So,
it's so individualized. It really is.
and I do all the things, I work out, all the things, but for whatever reason. So, yeah, which is kind of a whole nother interesting story. Uh,
Another rabbit hole to step in.
it's like you try, but yeah. So, and I'll just kind of elaborate a little bit because some people might be curious about this. When I was at IHS, I did, and I think I might have mentioned this in a previous live. I did True Diagnostics
Oh,
test. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. So interesting. So it's epigenetics, right? And so they depending on the test you get, they give you like your biological age,
love
which
it.
is so fascinating. Thank God I was lower than.
Is everybody happy about it? Okay.
If I was so nervous, I was like, I swear to God, if they say I'm 100, I just give up. Like,
I'm not telling
I
anybody.
give up. It didn't. I think I was like 6 years younger.
Oh,
Thank
that's
goodness. So that was
amazing.
good. But I also did their other test and it gives, oh my God, it's fascinating. So that one thing I found interesting is that from an epigenetic standpoint, and I'd have to look and see like exactly what they were measuring, vitamin C was a mess, like my lowest thing, right?
Vitamin
So
C.
the irony, right? Because you think, okay, we'll just eat fruit, but then you got to balance that with yeah the spikes. So anyway,
No.
yeah.
That's so
So
fast. I've all of the options wouldn't have even made the radar.
vitamin C, who would have thunk? And there's like I don't know, two or three different things they measure for that. And yeah, that was like my worst thing on the whole test.
That's fascinating.
So anyway, so like this morning, I'm like, I'm eating these blackberries. I don't have a CGM on, so darn it.
I wanna know about it.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm doing it.
Oh, I love it.
So anyway, but really an interesting test. If anyone has had a chance to try that out, it's so fascinating. And I just have to say that there was a crowd of like all of our people were like swarming around this table doing the test. It was
Really?
really funny. Yeah. Yeah.
That's really
Like
fun.
like the IFNA folks, like, oh yeah, we were all like, oh my God, I gotta do it. Some of
I'm
us
not
were a little
surprised.
scared to do the biological age thing. I almost didn't, but I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. So
Well,
anyway,
good news.
yeah. There were a few areas that clearly I need to work. Like, and then it breaks it down into like organ system. So you
Whoa.
get the biological age, which for me was like 6 years younger. Yay. I did great with muscular skeletal and inflammation. I was like, okay, I'll
Huge,
take that. Like those, I'm a like rock star in those two areas.
huge.
But then there's other areas not so much where the aging process is faster than it should be.
Okay,
So
interesting.
so yeah, it was really cool. But the vitamin C, it was like, wow, of all things, right? Like completely like critical levels. So
Whoa.
anyway,
Browning oranges.
I know it's just so interesting, these tests. Okay. All right. So back to GI. So all right, so you mentioned the magnesium citrate
Mhm.
and the squatty potty.
Mhm.
And are there any other things that we can do to help folks at home just to get that, just to help them through it?
Getting an awareness of your fiber,
Oh,
making
and you
sure
said fiber and water.
the water, I mean, don't
Okay.
increase your fiber without increasing your water. You
Okay.
again, you'll know.
Okay.
This one is the least exciting, but absolutely foundational. Chew.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, people and listen, people is me. I do this all the time. Oh, we
Mhm.
all do. If you are seeing undigested pieces of food in your stool, the first thing is that yes, there might actually be a digestive problem that needs to be addressed.
Okay.
However, if the piece of food is large enough for you to see it, it means that you swallowed it in that size. So
True.
paying attention to chewing, I mean, some people will give the advice of chew until your food is liquid before you swallow. And for some people who have really like they're really in the depths of it, I
Yeah.
kind of I could push that. If you're not symptomatic, you're not going to make yourself do this, and that's okay too. I will
Mhm.
say though, oftentimes people will say, "Oh, I can't eat this, I can't eat that, I can't eat this, I can't eat that," and it often, not always, and maybe you really can't eat it because it just doesn't agree, whatever it is. But what I have realized is that oftentimes these foods are things like rice and quinoa and lentils. In other words, it's food that if you don't chew it up very well, you can still safely swallow it. So there's no sort of
Mm.
like checks and balance there. Like you couldn't swallow a piece of chicken whole and be happy about
Right.
it. You're gonna chew that until it's safe, and then
Uh-huh.
you're fine. But you could like kind of just flatten out grains of rice and swallow it. Or if we
Okay.
do this a lot too with like mixed consistency, so soups where you're kind of like drinking the liquid down and
Yes.
whole pieces of rice grains can come. That can be really, really, really uncomfortable for people to
Mm.
digest. Impossible to break down for some people. It can overfeed certain bacteria and cause fermentation and gas and bubbles that like one of my clients calls it bubble guts, which I just think is
Oh,
the
that's so funny. Oh my gosh.
when I say that, you know what I mean. We all do,
I
right?
do.
Bubble guts. I think that's funny. So that could be a really big one. Chewing your food. And then I would say one of the last things here that I like is people who get heartburn. And again, sometimes you're going to eat too much pasta sauce or something that's going to just like give you a one day sort of thing. You don't actually have a problem that needs to be corrected, but you're uncomfortable. I always keep DGL on hand for that instead of Tums. So Tums will sort of like potentially block a bunch of different nutrients and such. And if you're just using it once in a while, maybe that's not your concern. But for basically the same price, you could get this little herb. Basically, it's a plant. Um, I have the chewables because for me, there's something about actually feeling it coating my my throat that feels
Okay.
good. But
And what is it called again?
it's called DGL. D
DGL.
It's licorice root that has the glycerin component
Oh,
removed.
okay. Interesting.
Deglycerinated. I think I'm not saying that right. Licorice root, but you'll see it in CVS. Like you could get it anywhere. DGL, and it's so soothing for heartburn. I mean, clients have told me that it works better than Tums for them. It's just no taste to it. You just kind of like eat. It doesn't taste like licorice, in other words.
Okay.
But that's a really nice, gentle, soothing thing for anybody who's got some heartburn stuff going on. So
Okay.
these are just kind of like off the top of my head, some little tools that don't cost a ton. Some of them don't cost anything. And you can use them either for these sort of like passing moments that aren't going to last, but you don't have to be uncomfortable,
Yeah.
or for more chronic things to just kind of get your head above water long enough for you to think clearly to take the next steps and really figure it out on a deep level.
Okay. All right, which leads to the next question. When's it time? When's it time to,
Yeah.
dig deeper and, just acknowledge that, okay, Band-Aids maybe are no longer working or, it's just time. Like how do we know when?
So, oh gosh, this is going to be different for everybody.
Okay.
For all of those people who are all or nothing types of personalities, which is a lot of us, you're going to skip right over all of this and just go to the testing. You're going to suffer until you just skip to the testing. That's what most of us tend to do.
Yeah.
So that's one thing to consider. If you notice that a Band-Aid, one of these options, helps you a lot and you can't get rid of it, you are in a position where in order to be okay, you really depend on it. Take a note and make a plan, because you got to figure out what's going on. You got to figure out what's going on, because it's a matter of time. Usually it's a matter of time before something else is going to come up.
Okay.
And then you're really going to start feeling like, oh, I've got all these problems, when in the reality it might just be like, my gut is kind of a mess.
Okay.
I don't really need the antidepressants. I don't really need the anxiety medication. I just need to heal what's happening here.
Okay.
Then my body will kind of find its balance. I've seen a lot of people by choice come off of their anxiety medications when they get their gut stuff figured out. Not always.
Oh, that is so cool.
It's really cool. They don't come in with
it.
that as a goal, right? That's not, I'm not a medication. I
Right,
can't tell you what to do. But they realized like that was what was going, it was a big enough part of the puzzle for them that when they removed it, like I was saying, it created the space that they needed to be able to manage it the way that they knew they could. It was very empowering. Yeah. So I would say if you can't get rid of the Band-Aids, if the Band-Aids just don't work, or if you're not interested in the Band-Aids and you're the type of person that's just like, I'm jumping right into the deep end, I get you. That's when you should look at some testing. And testing could mean a million things. You know, for us, we use GI map.
Yes.
I think it gives a really good blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to know that parasites are super common and they're really, really hard to pick up. Sometimes we get lucky and we pick them up.
Okay.
I would say just because it's negative on a test doesn't mean that you don't have one. I've taken GI maps with nothing and then taken some other testing and had roundworms and fluke worms come up. Like real. So it's just not, they're not all created equal. They're not all done the same way. GI map, I love though.
Okay. So GI map, we can be pretty confident, right?
I think so. Yeah. I've had tremendous success with it, you know, and you want to look at a number of different things. Is there anything in there that needs to be gone, right? Pathogens, are there bacterial infections? Is there an overgrowth, even of the good stuff? And then we're looking at, you know, what's not there that needs to be there to create that protection. That both pieces is where you start to get the longevity, right? You got to get rid of the barriers, but then you have to give back. Like I kind of explain to my clients, like if you've got your family over for dinner and everybody leaves, right? You kill off the pathogens, for example. Your family leaves, you still have your house to clean up. And there's like both of these components. There's gut kind of cleanup that needs to often happen to help get people out of the cycle. We see this with SIBO a lot.
Okay.
Right? Like antibiotics, I feel better, and then I go right back into it. Antibiotics, and then I feel better, and then I go right back into it. I mean, I'm sure everybody's had patients like that. So.
That's rough.
Yeah, it's awful. And then it's like mental game, and it's just too much. It's just too much.
So GI map is your favorite. I think one of these times I would love to have you on. And like, you know, we can, you know, of course, block out names, but I'd love to talk through some GI map results. Would you be up for that?
I would love that.
Yay. I would love it too. I think we'd all learn a ton.
Yeah. That would be
guys,
cool.
let me know if that sounds interesting to you. It really sounds awesome because it, you know, that if you don't feel really, really confident, it can be, that test can be overwhelming.
And it is. Right? I am confident with it. And it's overwhelming. Yeah. It's a lot, you know, and then to be able to explain it to your client in a way that, no pun intended, is digestible and you can take action on. Like, who cares what the test says if you don't know what to do with it?
Exactly. Then what's the point?
That's right.
And do you usually get the zonulin add-on?
Always.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wondered about that. So, and that really is the marker for leaky gut. Okay. Yeah. That's the top marker. Okay.
Yeah. And I think leaky gut, it is. And people come in knowing oh, I've heard of leaky gut and I'm worried about it.
Okay.
We don't know anything else. So being
Mhm.
able to sort of objectively say, here's where you are, let's
Yeah.
track this. Here's
Okay.
where we're starting. We're going to do this thing. Let's see where you end up. I think it just gives people confidence that there's something measurable outside of how they feel,
Mhm.
that they can sort of lean into. I think it's helpful.
Yeah, I love that. All right, well, we'll have to do that. I think that would be
Fun.
fascinating to, yeah, just to talk through some GI map results because I think most people that's their test of choice for
Yeah,
gut.
yeah. I think in our world anyway.
Okay, so all right, so what happens then if none of this works, right? You
Yeah,
client, yourself, you do all the things, you pull out pretty much everything in your toolbox, which I think is our biggest fear as a practitioner, right? Like, oh my God, you don't want that to happen.
yeah. And it does. It
Mm,
absolutely does because
okay.
people are complex human
Mhm.
beings, and there's
Yep.
a lot going on. Sometimes what I'll find there, and this is often a person that will come in with the awareness that this is playing a part, but the mind, the brain, and the gut, we all know that there's that connection. And so when there is a lot of trauma, when a
Mhm.
person is in the middle of even a small trauma, if you will, sometimes it's not the time or place to be working on the gut. It doesn't mean it doesn't have to happen. That
Yeah,
might be a space for band-aids. That might be a space
got
for
it.
band-aids. If somebody's in an extremely stressful, like I've got a couple, we live in DC, everybody's in law school here.
Yeah.
Or a lawyer or law school. And when they're all like studying for their bars, it's like, okay, we're pausing work.
Yeah.
Here's your digestive enzymes. You know you're going to need them. Use them for now because
Mhm.
you're too stressed and you can't change that. You can't
Right.
change it. So use the band-aid. We'll revisit it when you're done. And then sometimes it's not just the gut stuff going on. Mold is a really big one that
God.
people
Yeah.
know.
Mold is a nightmare. I actually just tested my house and I did the full on ERMI
Yeah.
because, I have a history. So, and it said normal.
Oh, what
You
a
know how
relief.
rare that is in this country, like normal? I was like, okay.
And this is
And
the
I'm
thing.
asking Mike, I'm like, did you do a really good sample? You know,
Are you sure? Can I trust
really
you?
like, because it's so shocking.
I'd
I
feel
think,
better if it was positive because that would at least make sense.
yeah, I'm so relieved.
Yes.
Yeah, I
And
just thought, I'm just going to test just because, just in case. Right.
I avoid testing because I'm afraid of what it's gonna say.
Okay.
That's not smart, but it's
Well,
that's not the answer.
one of those things, yeah, you kind of have to be ready
To
to
do
do
something,
something with the data.
right.
Now
That's
you could do air cleaners, right? You could, like that is kind of a Band-Aid. I'm
yeah,
not sure how much that would actually help, but I mean, if I were in that situation and I was not yet ready to demolish, rip down walls and do all those things that you have to do, it's a lot. I've had several clients over the last few years really struggle with that, and that will trash your gut.
it'll trash your head. It'll trash
Yeah,
everything. I mean,
everything,
it's
every
really
organ system. So,
totally,
yeah.
yeah,
So basically, if someone's not getting results, maybe that would be you might start to look at other things that are preventing healing.
absolutely. Yeah, I think looking at things like what other infections could be going on, what nutrient deficiencies might we not be picking up. You know
Mm.
what a weird one could be for adults specifically is undiagnosed celiac. That,
Oh,
like,
okay.
doesn't necessarily manifest in symptoms that are overtly GI.
Okay.
Sometimes it's like I keep getting dizzy or I'm breaking bones all of a sudden for no reason, or
Okay.
um, sometimes I just have like so much brain fog. You know what I mean? Like it could be you could see that in an older adult who it's like it's not on their radar because
Yeah.
I've lived, 50 plus years without having to
Right.
know about this. Why now?
Interesting. So back in my day, when I had my practice, I would do the genetic testing just to see if someone had the genetic predisposition. Is that still what you're doing?
I think that the order of events people now have to do is they have to get the I'm pretty sure you have to get the genetic markers, at least for insurance purposes.
Okay.
And if it's positive, then they'll cover a biopsy.
Okay.
Negative, good luck. Even if you suspect that it's a false negative, which it can often be.
I know the biopsy is really tricky. Like,
Really
how do
tricky.
they do that? Like, that does not sound like fun.
I know. And it's such a shame because I mean, and here's the other thing. To me, after a certain point, if you just feel better not eating gluten,
Right.
there's fine. It's not a diagnosis. It is a diagnosis. I kind of feel this way about IBS. Like, I don't need you to name my symptoms. I don't care. I don't
Right.
care. What
Yeah.
are you doing about it? Right.
I
That's
always kind of felt like if someone has that genetic predisposition for celiac and they're not symptom, it's kind of like having a magic ball, right? Or a crystal ball where you're kind of looking at your future. I don't know, potentially.
yeah. And honestly, it could just be a fun trial. Like taking
Yeah.
gluten out of the diet at this point in the game, there's so
So easy.
many options. It's like not even, it doesn't have to be a whole thing anymore. The
No.
options aren't even really that much more expensive at this point. They're all
Right.
kind of crazy. So it could just be something worth trying.
Yeah,
That's always
absolutely.
a trial.
Yeah, like my sister has the genetic predisposition but I think she was negative. I think she was negative. I would know if she was positive. So I
Yeah.
can confidently say she's negative on the biopsy, but what she just feels awful when she eats gluten. Like, she gets, all kinds of, weird pain and, just it's like, okay, I think the writing's on the wall,
Totally.
right?
100%.
So
That's me as well. It's like
and I'm really glad, Kara, if you're listening, I'm very happy that you're really taking it seriously because for a long time she didn't. It was like, oh, I can live with, a little bit of flair here and there. But yeah, not a good thing to do long term.
yeah. I mean, women are really good at that.
They kind of get used to it,
They're
right?
really good at being like, no, it's fine. I can suffer and I'm okay.
Yeah, not good. So gluten-free, I'd love to hear how many of our audience members are gluten-free. I think I've been gluten-free for about 10 years.
Me too.
And I don't have the genetic predisposition, but it's inflammatory. And I think I'd have to double check, but like a few years ago, I was creating antibodies, which is kind of weird.
Interesting.
So, yeah. So, anyway, I tried to, just prevent cross-contamination for that purpose, right?
It's been non-negotiable for me as well. Like it
Yeah.
just, and
Well,
it's not,
especially with Hashimoto's. Do you have celiac with your Hashimoto's?
no,
No,
I've
okay,
never tested it actually, but I don't, no one in my family has it.
okay.
I don't think so.
Did you ever do the genetics?
I've never done the you know why? Because I just like,
Okay,
well, it isn't gonna change my action. Like
okay,
I feel
yeah,
so terrible. And for me, it's not GI at all.
okay.
It's up here. I get
Oh, interesting.
like
Fatigue and brain fog and
I'm crazy. Like I just don't even know who I am. I'm such a miserable person. Like I'm mean.
okay.
I'm mean. I'm
Hard to believe, but
Bryan would disagree. He'd be like, yeah, keep her away.
get her away from the gluten, people.
Yeah, it's scary. It's actually really scary. Like I feel unsafe
Okay.
and
Oh,
unsettled
oh, okay.
and
Hmm.
it's really bizarre. It's hard to explain. So it's just not worth it ever.
Interesting. All right. So as we start to wrap up, where can we send people that want to learn more about your work?
Yeah. So dcstrengthandnutrition.com.
Okay.
That's our
Is and spelled out?
it is, yes. Yep.
DC and nutrition.
Yeah.
I love
Yep.
that new name.
I know it's fun.
So
It's fun.
fun.
It's fun to do it together, actually.
Okay.
Yep, that's
So
exactly it.
Awesome. All right. Yeah, check it out. And does Bryan have any, resources on the website?
Totally,
That
actually.
we
So
can
you can check it all out there too. So one
okay.
of the things that's opening later this month actually is our exercise library. So we'll have
Ooh.
like a whole library. It'll be totally free for everybody to go in and see like, okay, I'm okay to work out on my own, but I just don't really know what to do, or I don't know if I'm safe to do this, or
Okay.
whatever it is. You can go in and there are videos for everything and a little
Ooh,
sample.
no kidding. Oh,
Mhm.
that's
It's
fabulous.
really fun. So we're finishing those videos up and shipping it
Exciting.
out later this month.
I would okay. My what I would love, I'll just put it out
Tell
there.
me.
I would love because I over the holidays because I travel so much,
Yeah.
so I got the TRX straps.
Yes.
And I only have like 2, like it came with 2 like, what am I trying to say? Exercise cycles or
Okay. Yeah.
rounds, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
okay, workouts, 2 separate workouts.
Yeah. Like two
And I'm
programs.
like, "I know there's more I can do with this, but I just follow the directions, you know?"
I love it. I do. Yeah. Okay. TRX. Got it.
TRX
Taking a
workouts.
note.
I would love personally, I'm just saying, I don't know if anyone else here, but it's just so easy, and it really
Oh,
like, all you need is a door.
that's
Like,
it.
a door I thought I kinda didn't do it for such a long time because I was like, "Well, where am I gonna put it? Like, I have to, like, drill it into my ceiling and the" No, you literally put it behind your door, and that's it, and it's just such a great, easy strength workout.
I imagine that it travels and packs really easily too.
Oh, it's this little tiny thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really easy, and so that really has helped me.
Yes.
And the
See?
and the 2 workouts that I do are fine, but I know
You get
there's
bored.
more. You can
You
do
get bored.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do a lot more. So I
Totally.
I personally would love to see a little variety there.
Taking
Um,
a note.
yeah, exactly. So, and I'm always yeah, like, you can get posters and things like that, but not super easy to travel with, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So,
Totally.
yeah, I'm a video kind of person, like, I can t absolutely work out with a video.
Yeah, a lot of people
So
are because it you just feel I think it makes you feel safer to kind of push yourself when you
yeah,
can check yourself against, oh, this is the standard. Am
yeah,
I doing it? Am I not? And
yeah,
then you can progress. Like, and that's kind of the point, right?
yeah, yeah. I would just say, that I still work out with a trainer, like, and it is so interesting because you think you're doing it right, and then, oh my gosh, you have someone watching you, and yeah, it's like 100 times harder because the form, they push you, yeah. So they always figure out a way to make it hard.
I ironically don't ever get trained because they're
Oh,
trained
that's so
for
funny. I
this.
would have thought the opposite. Your
Yeah.
husband being a trainer, I'm like, "Oh my god, she must get trained, like, every day."
No, but when we do get a chance to work out together, the form, the corrections
Before
that I get, he's like,
Yes.
"How many times do I have to tell you this? This is not okay. What are you doing?"
I know, but sometimes your brain thinks you're
Yeah,
doing the right form, but
and
it
that's the
it
point.
just isn't, and even if you look in the mirror, like yeah. So, love doing TRX alone, but it definitely in my opinion, doesn't there's nothing like working out with a trainer,
There's
right?
nothing
So
like having to show up for somebody else seeing.
uh-huh, and they're watching you. All right, well, we could talk forever, um, but I'm gonna let everyone go, so we'll wrap up. I did post for everyone that joined us today. So first of all, thanks for joining us. It was really great to have everybody here. Take a look at Kylie and Bryan's new website, dcstrengthandnutrition.com. I'm gonna check it out myself. And the other thing, just a small ask for our audience, if you could click that like button or, follow button on Instagram or YouTube, I would be so grateful. I am going to officially try to grow my channels. I think I'm going to put a little more emphasis on YouTube coming up. So I would be eternally grateful if you could give me a follow or subscribe. So, all right, guys. So we are going to have to call it a day today. I'm going to let y'all get back to work. And thank you so much, Kylie. It's always a treat. So let's do this again. Let's get some GI map. We can do a screen share,
That
and
sounds
just
fun.
go through it. I would be so grateful. I think we'd all learn a ton.
I love it. And thank you so much for having me. I like that we can just have kind of casual, real, applicable sort of conversations. We can get into the science and also just have it be like, this is what really is happening for people.
Yeah, I love it.
The same thing. So the nuance
Keeping
is
it
nice
real.
to share. Yeah, great.
Keeping it real, right, everybody?
Thank
Okay.
you so much. Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks, Kylie. And thanks to everyone that joined us. See you next week. Bye
Bye.
for now. Take care. All right. That was awesome. Thank
This is
you.
so fun. I
So
just love
fun.
doing these with you. It's so easy. It just is
So
nice.
fun. I could go off on so
I
many
love that.
tangents.
It's just like authentic. You know what I mean? I love
Uh-huh.
it. Mm-hmm.
Super fun. Great match.
So nice.
I'll let Abby know because I really would be excited to do some what we talked about.
I would love to do it. And
Okay.
if she lets me know far enough in advance, I can always block the time.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Fine.
Yeah. I think that would be super fun.
That's
Okay. Gotta run.
Me too. I have to
Mwah.
okay, mwah.
Love
Bye,
you.
Leslie. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.